Imagine waking up in total darkness, knowing you won't be able to see for the next 72 hours. Now, imagine realizing that while you're helpless in your own home, someone else is there with you, watching you, eating your food, and sleeping in your bed. In today's movie, a doctor's wife pays the ultimate price for her husband's dirty secrets. After undergoing eye surgery, Mrs. Ling learns that she will be temporarily blind and that it will take 3 full days for her eyes to completely heal. Luckily, she is married to a successful surgeon named Jack, and this means they are wealthy enough to afford hiring a maid. May is the one in charge of all the housework, yet she still finds time to flirt with her police officer friend, who just bought tickets to see a famous singer in concert. May agrees to go on the date, but first, she has to run out to get Jack's photos developed, because she forgot to do so earlier and doesn't want to get roasted by her boss. Mrs. Ling's first day of blindness actually goes quite well. Jack takes advantage of the situation to flirt with her constantly, and they manage to have a great time together. Unfortunately, as luck would have it, Jack could not stay with his wife during her recovery because he had an important conference to attend in Macau. Before leaving, he accidentally took Mrs. Ling's cell phone with him because he had forgotten to charge his own, so he left the useless phone on the sofa. Classic husband move. Not long after he left, May asked for permission to leave because she needed to buy medicine for her asthma, which is a very creative excuse for going to a concert, but she promised to come back soon, though we all know how that usually goes in movies. Now that she was alone at home, Mrs. Ling decided to sit outside and get some fresh air with her dog. The pet almost escaped, but it was caught by a man named Sam, who immediately tied the animal to its doghouse. It turns out Sam was actually there to see Jack. It was revealed that they had been schoolmates in high school and that Jack had later operated on Sam's wife. Ling, being a polite host, offered him a drink, but Sam only helped her back inside before he seemingly left. Later on, Ling fell asleep on the sofa and woke up in the middle of the night when it was already storming outside. May had not returned yet, which was very worrying, though not entirely surprising given her earlier excuse. But it was Sam who returned, ringing the doorbell and explaining that he couldn't get a taxi because of the terrible weather. Without hesitation and with zero survival instincts, Mrs. Ling allowed him to come in and share some food and hot tea. In addition to feeding the stranger, she also lent him some of Jack's clothes. In the couple's private guest room, Sam started jumping on the bed while eating a delicious banana, acting like he was the king of the castle. After that weird display, Mrs. Ling and Sam sat in the living room to talk for a while. Sam shared the fact that he works in a printing house and spoke about how much he loves his wife. At first, he spoke sweetly about his partner, but soon he lost his temper and started complaining about the fact that she wouldn't let him go to the gym because of the ink stains on his nails. When he realized what a maniac he was sounding like, he immediately apologized and left because the rain had finally stopped. As she tried to get back to her usual routine, Mrs. Ling couldn't shake the creepy feeling that someone was following her. She decided to ignore her gut instinct and took a shower, but her bad feeling was definitely true, because Sam was actually still in the house and had crept into the shower with her. He remained silent and let his hands roam around Mrs. Ling, a kind of naughty game that gave her pleasure because she likely thought her husband had returned early. Still, Sam couldn't stop himself and weirdly spat water on her back. This finally caused Mrs. Ling to panic. Sam ran out of the room, but when Ling went down to see what was happening, Sam suddenly appeared, pretending to have just returned from the streets to fight the intruder. He pretended to drive the bad guy away, securing his spot as the hero. After that, Sam put a sleeping pill in a glass of milk and gave it to Ling to help her calm down before going outside while pretending to be guarding against a break-in. After he left the room, Ling locked the door and tried to use the phone, but she realized the wires had been cut. At that moment, the medicine kicked in and she fell asleep on the floor. The next morning, Ling woke up to the terrifying sight of Sam eating breakfast right at the foot of her bed. She followed him downstairs where breakfast was waiting, but Ling refused to eat a single bite until she had reported the incident to the police. Because of this, Sam picked up the phone and pretended to call the police. But because she had tried the phone last night, Ling knew it wasn't working, and she finally realized that Sam was the bad guy all along. She tried to get him to leave by bluffing that Jack would be back soon, but Sam knew that her husband was away, hinting that he had been spying on them or knew about Jack's affairs for a year. He also dropped the bomb that he had kidnapped May and stuffed her in the trunk of his car. Hearing this, Mrs. Ling panicked and tried to flee the house, but she found that all the exits were locked tight. Meanwhile, Sam was throwing a tantrum because a rat had randomly bitten him CarMax fast. Sam then decided to smoke Jack's expensive cigarettes while Mrs. Ling was cleaning up the mess she had made in her panic. As the lady moved around, Sam approached to seduce her and asked her inappropriate questions about her inner desires, wondering if she wanted to taste any other man besides Jack. He eventually pushed Ling to try to score with him, which prompted the lady to grab a fire poker to defend herself. However, Sam quickly snatched it and bit her neck as a punishment. After a few hours, Sam cooked lunch and force-fed Ling even though she wasn't hungry. A moment later, she quickly vomited after Sam admitted that he had cooked the dog. Sam wouldn't let her go unless she finished the whole meal. So, the scene ends with Ling continuing to eat while crying for her poor pet. pet. Later, Sam forced Ling to watch some family tapes, which was apparently the final straw because she rushed to the bathroom and threw up everything she had eaten. She then tried to scream for help, but with the storm raging outside, no one could hear her. Frustrated and terrified, she basically had a mental breakdown and started destroying the bathroom fixtures like a rock star trashing a hotel room. Once Mrs. Ling finally calmed down, she returned to her room, where Sam approached her as if he hadn't just force-fed her a questionable meal, and he started talking about his wife again. Sam explained that late in their marriage, he realized his wife didn't want him to touch her, not because of ink stains on his hands, but because she was seeing another man. Sam then ordered Ling to give him a massage, which gave Ling a brilliant idea. She started pretending to have a severe asthma attack, channeling her inner drama queen, and mentioned May's name. But when Sam brought the medicine from the maid's bag, they found it was empty because Ling hadn't allowed May to go to the drugstore earlier. Oops. Not wanting his plaything to die just yet, Sam agreed to go buy the medicine, but he locked Mrs. Ling in a closet first. Fortunately, Ling thought fast and wedged some of her clothes in the doorframe, which prevented it from locking and allowed her to escape once Sam left. First, she hunted for her house keys, but Sam had already snapped them all in half. Next, she spotted Jack's cell phone on the sofa, but of course it was dead. Mrs. Ling started to cry until she remembered there was a charger upstairs in her room, so she started climbing the stairs with the dead phone in her hands. But just then Sam returned, and in her sheer panic, Mrs. Ling tripped and tumbled down the stairs. Since there was no time to get to the room and she had to hide the phone immediately, she quickly shoved it inside her underwear to keep it out of sight, a weird hiding spot, but effective. When Sam found her at the bottom of the stairs, he didn't suspect anything and took her to her room to give her the medicine and let her rest, which finally gave Mrs. Ling the chance to put the phone on the charger as soon as he walked away. That night, Sam returned to the room to confront Ling because he figured out the asthma medicine was actually prescribed for May, not her. As punishment, Sam dropped the bombshell. The man his wife was having an affair with was none other than Jack Ling's husband. For 2 years, Sam said nothing about their cheating because he was desperate for his wife to recover. But in the end, she died of a heart attack during surgery, and in Sam's twisted mind, that meant Jack didn't do his job properly. This is why Sam wants revenge. He plans to do to Ling exactly what Jack did to his wife. Ling refuses to believe it, but Sam promises she'll learn the truth when Jack returns, right before he steps out for a smoke break, not long after. That a random thief breaks into the house and finds Mrs. Ling in her room. She tries to defend herself with an umbrella, but she is easily overpowered by the thief, who ties her to the bed. He ignored the lady's desperate warnings about a killer named Sam because he thought she was just lying to scare him off. The thief then wandered around stealing valuables before returning to the bedroom, deciding to take advantage of the defenseless Mrs. Ling. To defend herself, she bit him, causing the thief to back away and bump right into Sam. Sam immediately went into rage mode, burning the thief with his cigarette and crushing his family jewels with a painful squeeze. After this, Sam stuffed a banana in the thief's mouth to silence him and used a pair of scissors to cause some permanent damage to the intruder's little brother downstairs. After the thief was dead and disposed of, someone rang the doorbell. It turned out to be the police officer friend who had come to pick up May for the concert. Sam pretended to be Jack and claimed May wasn't there, which the officer found suspicious. The cop invited himself in, asking for a drink, and while Sam was busy in the kitchen, the officer went upstairs to investigate. When he opened the bedroom door, he saw someone sleeping under the covers. At that moment, Sam appeared with the drink, stopping him and explaining that Mrs. Ling was sleeping it off because she wasn't feeling well. But in reality, hiding under the covers was the lifeless body of the thief. The officer also noticed a wedding photo on the dresser, but Sam had cleverly covered Jack's face with his own photo from his wallet. Meanwhile, Ling managed to push open the closet doors where Sam had stuffed her again, but her mouth, hands, and feet were tied, so she had to hop downstairs very slowly. While Sam was escorting the police officer out, Ling managed to get to the kitchen and use a knife to cut the ropes before running out the back door. By this time, her vision was gradually returning, allowing her to see a car light on the street, so she ran toward it to ask for help. The driver's voice sounded weak, and when Ling touched the driver's hand, she realized it was a woman, giving her a reason to believe she was safe. But in a twisted turn, it was actually Sam, who was manipulating May's dead body and using a high-pitched voice to trick her into coming back home. Meanwhile, the policeman realized he forgot to give the developed photos to May, and when he finally glanced at them, he realized the real Jack looked nothing like the man he just met. The officer hurried back with his gun drawn, and as he quietly searched the house, he saw Mrs. Ling in the bathroom. He promised to help her escape, but while the officer was distracted, Sam took the opportunity to approach him from behind and stabbed him to death. Sam then dragged Ling to the sofa to have his way with her, carelessly setting the policeman's gun down nearby. Ling had to pretend to enjoy Sam's advances while she desperately stretched her arm to reach for the weapon. However, her plan was cut short when Jack suddenly returned home. Walking in, he assumed his wife was just having a casual affair right in the living room. So Jack shoved Sam away away and kicked him several times before turning to Ling to slap her for cheating on him. This distraction gave Sam the chance to grab the gun and shoot Jack in the leg, forcing him to admit that he had indeed been sleeping with Sam's wife before she died. As Sam beat the pulp out of Jack, Ling's vision continued to sharpen. It was still blurry, but clear enough for her to find a fireplace poker and attack Sam with it. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to stop him. Sam just snatched the poker from her hands before going back to beating Jack. Sam didn't realize that Mrs. Ling was regaining her sight, so she took advantage of his ignorance to grab various items from around the house to form a plan. She scattered a handful of thumbtacks all over the floor. When Sam stepped on the tacks while looking for her, Ling surprised him from behind and used a spray canister with a lighter to create a makeshift flamethrower, burning his face. Unfortunately, the spray ran out quickly. This forced Mrs. Ling to retreat to the kitchen for new supplies. She threw powder in Sam's eyes to blind him further before whacking him with a hard piece of frozen meat. Sam tried to defend himself with the poker, but he was blinded. Since he couldn't find Ling, he decided to blow the whole place up by turning on the gas burners. Before he could spark the fire, Ling jumped on him and stabbed him with a sharp pencil before making a run for it. When Ling reached the living room, her vision had completely returned. Seeing Sam following her, she pretended to still be blind. That way, when Sam crept up behind her, she was able to catch him off guard by smashing a vase over his head. Ling then ran back to the kitchen, where she grabbed a few unopened beer cans and shoved them into the microwave before hiding behind the door. Sam followed her in, but just as he passed the microwave, it exploded, drawing him backward with the force of the blast. Mrs. Ling came out, thinking she was finally safe, but Sam was like a cockroach that wouldn't die and tried to attack her again. With no other choice, Ling grabbed the fire poker and stabbed Sam with it. Mrs. Ling then went into the living room and found her husband begging for forgiveness. Ling refused to forgive him, pointing out that his infidelity was the reason she had been forced to become a killer. But as he approached to hold his wife, she realized that Sam was actually holding up Jack's dead body and was just pretending to be him. At this point, Mrs. Ling completely snapped and furiously beat Sam with the fire poker until he was definitely 100% dead. As a few weeks later, Mrs. Ling is seen living alone in the city. When a rude man tries to steal the taxi she had flagged down, pushing her aside, Mrs. Ling simply walks away, knowing that after surviving a psycho like Sam, she doesn't need to waste time on jerks, and this is where the movie ends.